wonder if you're able to accept from me that people are very unlikely to change their long-held views of things because we want them to. I think it's completely fair to say if you're going to be working with people in any context, you're going to be talking to them. And from time to time, conversations are going to take us to a place where we don't always agree with the other person, and that's fine. That's good. It sparks off some really interesting conversations. And in social conversations, social circumstances, that's fine. I wonder what happens though when we get to conversations that we believe are going to be quite difficult to have, and we are actually looking at encouraging the person with whom we're talking to consider a slightly different position to maybe one that's preventing them from progressing as well as we think they could. Or maybe they've come to us and said, look, I need a bit of help with this. This isn't going as well as I'd like it to. Now, I don't mind whether you're a parent, whether you're a teacher, whether you're a supervisor, manager, team leader. The quality of conversations with which you can engage people is actually key to getting some good results out of them. Very often what we're working with are quite entrenched thinking patterns, and the important thing to do is to change the context of the conversation so that we can actually begin to open up those thinking patterns. And we're not going to do that if we're actually sort of cutting people off or driving them into a position where they're defending the very thinking that's got them into maybe some difficulties or prevented them from moving forward as quickly as they might do. One of the techniques that used here is called Socratic questioning, and as the name implies, it comes from the dialogue of Socrates, and the idea that if you want to change the way people think, then you have to explore why they think that way and are there alternatives to it, and give them an opportunity to create their own dialogue about their own thinking. So this brief presentation takes you through that. These questioning techniques give us an opportunity to identify and explore the person's automatic thoughts, where they go to first. And it's really important that we try and open that up. And we're not going to do that if we're saying, well, if I were you, or it seems to me. The important thing is to find out what happens to matter most to the person with whom we're working. And this type of questioning can give us some really useful insights into the way they're forming their world, their ideas, and how they articulate them. And most likely they're going to be talking about some quite deeply held beliefs and perceptions. And I think you can see what's going on here. We're actually encouraging the person with whom we're working, with whom we're having a conversation, to think beyond themselves a little bit about how other people see them, and then maybe to sort of internalise things a little bit more and think, okay, what's it got to do with mood and feelings when you think this way? What happens to the way you feel? What happens to your mood? What thoughts, what images occur to you? And the trick is to give them time and space to build that, and to build it without challenge. I restate that saying, well, it seems to me, or if I were you, that's not going to help. What we're trying to do is to allow the person with whom we're working to come up with those answers for themselves. As you can see from this slide, we're looking at association, we're looking at posing questions that encourage the development of alternative explanations, and what are the fors, what are the against, and what do they actually mean to us. It's important, we can use this technique and we can change the automatic thoughts. If that's what we're doing, then okay, we're going to get some temporary change. We're going to see some sort of development. What I guess is more difficult, particularly when we're under time pressure, is to think about, we're looking at changing the very scaffolding with which thoughts are built and constructed around, and that actually takes quite a bit of doing. And we are trying to encourage people with whom we're working, with whom we're having a conversation, to maybe use different and better scaffolding to take them to a much stronger place. That's going to be tough to do, and we're not always going to get there. If that doesn't happen, then maybe the best place we can end up is to encourage them to be aware enough to say, do you know what, I just might be using the wrong scaffolding on this occasion, and I need to check that out for myself. So that's really the background, some background ideas on Socratic questioning for you. And the best thing to do, as with all things like this, is to go out and give it a try. And please get in touch with us and tell us how you've got on, and maybe we can have a conversation about it ourselves. Oh, well, actually, maybe I can do some listening and you can have the conversation. Thank you.